May 6, 2019, Connor Kelly and his family decided to check out an abandoned gold mine in Nevada. You know, one of those weekend adventure things people do now: grab some flashlights, bring a camera, see what's left behind. The McCoy mine wasn't particularly famous or anything. Just another hole in the ground that miners abandoned decades ago when the gold ran out. The video starts normal enough. They're being careful, keeping their voices low because nobody wants to be the idiot who causes a cave-in. It's dark, obviously. Those thin flashlight beams barely cut through the dust hanging in the air. You can hear their footsteps echoing off wet stone. Everything smells like minerals and stale air that hasn't moved in probably 50 years. Then Connor's light catches something up ahead. Just a little glint on the ground, maybe 10 or 15 feet away. At first, he thinks it's a piece of old equipment. Miners left stuff behind all the time: tools, cans, random metal scraps. So they walk toward it. But it's not equipment. It's a shoe. And then they see another one. And another. Look, I've watched this video more times than I probably should have, and that moment when the camera pans across and you realize there are dozens of shoes just sitting there in the middle of this tunnel? It's unsettling in a way that's hard to explain. They're not neatly arranged or anything. They're just piled up, scattered around, like someone backed up a truck and dumped them. Sneakers, old boots, kids' shoes, women's flats. Some look like they're from the 80s, others seem newer. None of them match. They're all just sitting there in the dark where absolutely nobody goes. And mixed in with the shoes, bones. You can hear it in Connor's voice when he points them out. He's trying to stay calm, but there's this edge creeping in. Some of the bones are big. Too big to be human, honestly. They look more like livestock, maybe a cow or a horse. At least, that's what you hope they are when you're standing in a pitch-black mine shaft staring at a pile of remains. They keep going a bit further. I don't know why. Curiosity, I guess. Maybe that thing where you know you should leave but you need to understand what you're looking at first. That's when they find what looks like part of a spine, still partially intact. That does it. You can hear the shift in their voices: they're done. Time to get out. The video ends with them making their way back toward daylight, flashlights bouncing around, nobody really talking anymore. And that's it. Connor uploads the video, and then, nothing. He doesn't explain it. Doesn't do a follow-up. Doesn't even mention it in the comments. He posts a few more videos after that, but none of them reference the mine. And then he just stops uploading altogether. Naturally, people lost their minds trying to figure out what they'd found. The most popular theory? Serial killer dumping ground. I mean, it sounds insane, but think about it: remote location, piles of shoes, bones, no witnesses for miles. It fits the profile a little too well. People started connecting it to missing persons cases, especially the ones where shoes go missing. There's this whole thing in unsolved disappearances where shoes are almost always involved somehow. It's weirdly common. But here's the problem with that theory: there's no record of any investigation at the McCoy mine. No police reports, no forensic teams, nothing. And if someone actually found evidence of multiple murders, that would have made the news. You can't just stumble onto a serial killer's burial site and have it go completely unreported. It doesn't work that way. Plus, most people who really looked at the footage agree the bones aren't human. They're too large, wrong shape. Probably livestock. Nevada's full of abandoned ranches and mines. Animals wander into these places all the time, or they get dragged in by predators. Mountain lions, coyotes. It happens. So if it's not a crime scene, what is it? Some people think a mountain lion might have been using the mine as a feeding spot. That would explain the bones, sure. But the shoes? That's where it falls apart. Mountain lions don't collect footwear. The theory that actually makes the most sense, as boring as it sounds, is flooding. Lander County gets flash floods. They're sudden, violent, and they move a lot of debris. Maybe someone dumped a load of old shoes somewhere nearby, could have been a thrift store, a donation center, whatever. Flash flood comes through, washes everything into the mine system. It's not exciting, but it's plausible. If you look closely at the video, the ground deep in that tunnel is soaked. There are clear water flow patterns leading further into the darkness. The mine floods. That's just a fact. Later, after the water recedes, maybe a predator drags in a dead animal or two. Bones get scattered around. Time passes. Everything just sits there in the dark until Connor and his family wander in with a camera. But, and I hate that there's a but here, some people think the whole thing was staged. The bones look almost too clean in the video. A couple of them might even be plastic, the kind you buy at Halloween stores. And Connor titled the video, "Kids' Shoes and Bones Found in Abandoned Mine." That's a pretty specific title for something you just stumbled across. Plus, if you actually count the shoes in the frame, a lot of them are adult-sized. So either he exaggerated for clicks, or he knew exactly what would get people talking. I don't know what to think, honestly. Hoax or not, there's something deeply uncomfortable about that footage. Maybe it's just the setting, abandoned places always feel wrong somehow. Or maybe it's the shoes themselves. Shoes are personal, you know. They're shaped by the person who wore them. Seeing them piled up in a place where no one should be feels like looking at something you're not supposed to see. And Connor never explained it. He just disappeared from the internet. His channel's still there, frozen in time with that one weird video from 6 years ago. No comments from him, no updates, nothing. Just a dark tunnel, a pile of shoes, and a whole lot of questions that nobody's been able to answer. Whatever the truth is, it sticks with you. I've thought about that video way more than I should. Sometimes the things that bother us most aren't the ones we can explain. They're the ones that sit right on the edge of making sense, just close enough to reality that you can't completely dismiss them, but strange enough that they never quite leave your mind.